Today is the day where everything goes horribly wrong. The day that I almost lose my best friend. Where Shen and Nay, at the end of 2021, we decided it was time for a complete life change. So we sold our house and business. Now we are travelling around Australia looking for adventure and seeking moments of solitude. Hey guys, it's Nay here from 2.5 weeks in the future. You're going to see me pop up a few times throughout this episode just to fill in the story, given the way that our day ended up unfolding and the way that everything ended up happening.
Morning guys, we're at Simpson Gap in the West MacDonnell Ranges.
This week we're going to be exploring the West MacDonnell Ranges and Kings Canyon.
We've got permits to get from traditional owners, we've got bad weather coming, we've got hikes hopefully, we've got gorges to look at. It's going to be one hell of an adventure. A bit chilly this morning, but it's been absolutely awesome getting up early, getting to these places that are quite busy and having them all to yourself. It's worth the extra effort. It's been absolutely amazing.
The sun has just started to kiss the rocks. This is what we're waiting for, guys.
The sun is coming. Bam!
That's where the sun was kissing. I think we've peaked out. On to the next spot, I think, Shen.
Yep, bit of food first, but
oh yeah, his tummy's
ready for
grumbling. Bread toasted with some coconut oil is just the bomb. Tell me though in the comments, do you eat Vegemite toast with eggs? I thought that was a normal thing. Shannon thought it was really strange, but that's how we grew up. We ate our Vegemite toast, cut into fingers, into soldiers, dipped them into our boiled eggs, into the runny yolk. I thought that was normal. Is it normal? But anyway, I've converted Shannon. Vegemite toast with an egg is unreal.
I know this looks unorthodox, but you haven't lived until you've tried. Thick cut sourdough toast, cooked in coconut oil, Vegemite, and then freshly cooked egg.
Told ya, I fully converted him.
Mwah. We just pulled up at the ranger station just outside Simpson Gap. We're trying to get some information on camping. Now we know that there's 2 privately run campsites within the MacDonnell Ranges, and then there's also camping with the national parks. Now we know that you have to book that online, but we just can't seem to find the national parks online, this national park online, to be able to book the camping. So we're just going to go in, have a chat to the guys there, see if we can get some clarification on how to book camping throughout this national park, and we'll give you an update. Well, we just got back from the rangers station and it wasn't manned.
So we're just going to wing it.
Just going to wing it and see what happens.
We did end up winging the camping because we had no other choice. Because we didn't pre-book anything, we had to stay in all free campsites, which there are a few in the West Macs and they were quite nice as well. But if we had have just continued on in our journey without the events that did end up unfolding, that would have been actually disappointing that we didn't get to stay at Red Bank. So as it turns out, the website isn't optimized for mobile use, it's only optimized for a desktop. So you can either use it on your laptop without hopefully any problems, or you can tell your mobile phone that you're viewing it on a desktop and then watch it or use it, on that landscape orientation. It's a bit of a pain in the butt. We did come across some other people in our travels who also had the same troubles. So if you're having that difficulty, just know it's not you. Hopefully by the time you go and do something in the NT, they've actually fixed the problem. They know that it's a problem apparently, and apparently they are trying to rectify it. We're at Stanley Chasm, and the best time to view it is at midday, which means we've got just under 2 hours to kill. So we've decided to do this uphill walk hence the puffiness, to a lookout. Hopefully we can do it, get up and back and see the chasm at midday. Look at this trail. It is just straight up. It just goes up and up and up. To where? Well, for now, we don't know. Are we even on the right path? We don't even know. Very poorly signposted. We're going to give it a crack.
Hopefully we can get all the way up there. I reckon the views will be absolutely spectacular from up there.
Totally.
And it gives you that bit more solitude feeling away from all the crowds.
My lungs are burning. That was a real hard, relentless push up.
Absolutely. I've got no words to describe it. Wow, it's absolutely amazing.
Stanley Chasms is one of the areas that is owned and operated by traditional landowners, so you actually have to pay for your entry.
It cost us $12 each to get in to go to the chasm, and it was really busy.
Very busy. We did snag a couple of photos where it looked quiet, but we didn't get the camera out too much because it was just very overwhelmingly busy. And you can camp there, sorry Shannon, you can camp there, but I don't think it's ideal.
No, I wouldn't recommend camping there at all. Not possibly with a caravan, you could do that.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
We also did a little sidetrack up on top of the, I suppose, the chasm, and looked down over the valley, and it was really lovely.
That was worth the effort.
It was a lot of effort, and you'd have to be quite fit to get up there.
Yeah, that was burning my lungs. I had a throat burn on that one. Now that took us an hour, and we didn't push up or down, and we spent a bit of time up there as well. And I think seeing the chasm at midday was a really good option too.
Yeah, you definitely want to get there at midday. Both walls are lit up. It's lovely to see.
I didn't realise the significance of it at the time, so I didn't pick up the camera and film anything. We were heading west deeper into the MacDonnell Ranges after leaving Stanley Chasm, and we came across a young couple in a troopy. Their bonnet was up, their hazards were on, and they were heading east back towards Alice, limping their troopy towards a mechanic. Now together the boys were actually able to fix the troopy, which meant that the young couple were able to do a U-turn and head back east into the MacDonnell Ranges as they had planned also. We had a nice chat with them. They were a really lovely young couple. They were extremely grateful for Shannon pulling over, and Shannon said to them, I would never not pull over to somebody who was in need. It's been me before, it'll be me again. Oh, that is nice.
Wow. That's lovely.
We have two options. Go for an hour-and-a-half walk or a swim.
I'm pretty hot. I'm thinking swim.
Yeah.
It's chilly. Cold?
Yeah. Oh. 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 Really quite cold.
No.
Young couple from the troopy were also at Ellery Creek, and they had just enjoyed a nice swim themselves when they noticed us and came over, and we had a really good chat with them. The whole time Shannon was submerged shoulders down, I was submerged just knee down. We were also chatting as well to another young guy sitting on the bank next to us, and the five of us were just having a really good time chatting away. We had really no sense of time either. It just felt like a couple of minutes, and that's when we decided to go for a swim. One thing that we know now, something that I didn't really piece together until I'd spoken to the doctors at the hospital, was that Shannon's core temperature at this point would have already started to significantly drop. And I asked him, I think it was like the day after, did you feel cold before we went for the swim? And he said, no, I just felt like I had acclimatized. We're trying to make it to the center of that opening. It feels like such a long way, and it's really quite cold. Did you notice in the last clip that Shannon switches from breaststroke to freestyle, which is his strongest stroke, and he really starts to power away from me? From here, everything really starts to happen very, very quickly. From the last clip that I showed you to the next clip that I'm about to show you was not even 2 minutes apart. And somehow in that time, Shannon put huge distance between us. Like, he went into his strongest stroke freestyle and really started to power away from me. And at some point, I also noticed that he'd made the decision to turn left and start swimming towards a different bank, a bank, not the bank that we were at, not the bank where everybody else was at, a bank to the side. And now knowing better that the underlying issue here was actually hypothermia, that was hypothermia starting to limit his decision-making ability. And from here, I picked up the GoPro and I went to show you guys the fact that he was swimming to the left, because I thought, that's strange. What is my bizarre husband doing? And in that exact moment, I realized that he was in trouble and that something was wrong, because it was so strange. And I accidentally filmed the next clip that I'm about to show you. As I'm swimming towards Shannon, actually see him bob down under the water and then back up. And then I start screaming. You can just kind of hear it over the muffle of the water. And I start screaming at him, and I'm screaming at the bank, and I'm yelling, help, is anybody a strong swimmer? And then I'm yelling at Shannon, just dog paddle, Shannon, just dog paddle. You're almost there. And I think I yell for help twice, and then I notice that the two troopy couple, the couple from the troopy, are running with a life buoy. I don't take my eyes off Shannon, and he bobs down and up. And I just keep yelling at him. Just dog paddle, you're almost there. I'm coming. I think I reached him in 1:40. Now the hypothermia is actually affecting his muscle function, which is actually causing him to drown. At the time, I thought that he was drowning because he was tired, but now we know that he was drowning because he was hypothermic and his muscle function started to decline, be non-existent even. I reached Shannon first, and even under a tight grip that I had on him, he still went down and back up again. He was just too big for me. But then in a second, then I saw the trooper couple with a life buoy, and they throw it into the water. And then at the same moment, I noticed the other guy that we made contact with, who we were talking to on the bank, was in the water, and he grabs the life buoy and he pushes it to us. The three of us then tow Shannon back to the bank. We were pretty shagged. I know I was. By the time we got back to the bank, my throat was burning and I wasn't in any state to be making any decisions. So I'm so grateful to everybody involved who jumped in and made the decisions that needed to be made. And then before you know it, we have Shannon in the recovery position. We're drying him off. Then we carry him up off the bank to a safer spot. We dry him off more. We take off his wet clothes. We put emergency blankets on him. And somewhere in all of that, I said to Kate, and she's one of the troopy owners, and I said to Kate, because she ends up being a nurse, would you believe? And I said to Kate, should I take him to the hospital? And then before we know it, I don't even remember who it was. I think it must have been Kate. Kate's like, no, there was somebody at the picnic area who has a sat phone. And then I'm pretty sure it was Kate, and she runs off. She goes and gets them, and the next thing, somebody comes back with a sat phone. They're calling 000. I'm giving information, and all up, it took an hour and 20 minutes for the ambulance to arrive. And the whole time, I didn't know it was hypothermia. I didn't know if Shannon was still going to survive. He looked terrible. And an hour and 20 minutes later, they take his temperature as one of the first things they did when they got there. And it was 34.2. I would hate to know what his temperature was when we pulled him out of the water originally, given that it was an hour and 20 minutes later.
I've been holding that in for so long. Shannon, you scared the of me. Okay. Shannon almost died, guys. He almost drowned. And I got to him just in time, and then just angels, 3, 4 beautiful people helped out. And now I'm just driving behind the ambulance. Shannon's in the back of the ambulance. I'm just going to go to the hospital. Alright, there he is. Can you see him? I don't even know if this is recording. That was the scariest shit of my life. I thought that, I gotta get my back together so that I can drive. I got this. It's a piece of cake.
At the hospital, Shannon received a full bill of health by the doctors once his temperature was back to normal and was stabilized. There was no water on his lungs, and he was discharged. We actually ended up going back into the West MacDonnell Ranges to camp that night at a free camp. Two reasons. One, it was after hours and I couldn't get any accommodation anywhere. And two, that's where the troopy owners were staying that night, and Shannon wanted to see them in the morning and say thank you. We ended up spending 2 nights at that free camp, just resting completely and processing everything that had happened. And then we continued our journey in through the West MacDonnell Ranges and through to Kings Canyon. We just did it all on a much slower, calmer pace. We didn't do everything we had planned to do. We had some hikes that we wanted to do, overnight hikes and day walks, which we just weren't up for. Massive thank you to Shannon's 4 Angels. We will never forget you and we'll always be grateful for you. Chiron for jumping into that water and swimming through that cold water to get to Shannon. Sarah, the tour guide, who called 000 for us. And then of course Kieran and Kate, the troopy owners, who we now call friends, who we ended up spending a few nights camping together and shared some meals and just had a great old time. Thank you to each and every one of you. Together and because of you, I still have my best friend. Thank you.